My apologies. I did it again. I'll try not to do that again a third time, but this then will be lecture one, part week one, lecture one, part three. My apologies. Um, I haven't given a full lecture on video for a little while now, a few months, so I'm a little bit rusty in terms of clicking on this and that and getting it all right. And so my sincere apology. I'm probably as frustrated as you are that week one, lecture one is now in 3 parts. I hope to God it won't be 4 parts, but I can't promise, but I'll do my best. So we were, if memory serves, on civilization and the problem of what it all means. And the problem of civilization and culture. I have up there on the slide high culture and low culture, because culture too is a problem. And I'm not going to go into all of that because I don't want to drag this lecture out longer than it already is. But we know and understand, I think, that distinction implicitly between high culture, often between elite culture and popular culture. There are very different segments of society that we designate as that's popular culture or that is elite culture. Going to an NFL game, for example, is part of popular culture, even though there are quote unquote elites there. Whereas going to the symphony, or the opera, or so is part of the elite culture, high culture, or low culture. Now, this is a distinction that sociologists and anthropologists and historians have made, and it is helpful as long as we don't make it too definitive. Because using the example of going to a Colts game, for example, there are, let's say, common people there. There are also extremely wealthy people there. And so there's a real fusion of high culture and low culture in a Colts game or any professional, sports team. My gosh, I don't know if any of you watch the Copa Americana, but the tickets there, I think the average ticket for just a regular admission was $2,500 or more, or something like that. And to have a box, it was like almost $100,000. And I think, how can anybody afford that? But the whole point is that using these categories of analyses, because that's what they are, helps us see some of the interrelationships of how people within societies function and work. Because high culture, low culture becomes part of an ideological construct that is based too on this dichotomy, especially within the Western tradition between the civilized and the barbarians. And we'll see the origins of that later on in this course as we go through, because it was originally a distinction made by the Greeks. We are the civilized. You non-Greeks, particularly you non-Greek speaking people who sound like you're just saying bar, 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 are the barbarians. You're not us. We are civilized. And that leads to then identity. Because civilization is about identity, as I've talked about, as is history. That's what this is all getting at. And trying to conceptualize it, to understand it from the get-go, so to speak, helps us to say, okay, how does this all fit together? When we start looking at the earliest evidence for human civilization, what do we see and how do we approach it and how do we interpret it? So that is what we're kind of looking at. What is civilization? A problem. What is Western? A problem. What is history? A problem. This course is a problem. And we can say, oh, that makes it messy. Yes, it does. It'd be easier if I could say, here, this right here, everything that is in this box formed by my hands is Western civilization, and all I have to do is teach you what is in that box. That is not the way it is at all. That is a completely false understanding of history, of Western civilization, and everything else. It is not a closed set of information. And it is challenging. And it challenges us as we study it. And it forces us to re-examine our own ideology, our own identity, and attempt to go beyond the boundaries and the borders that either we have set for ourselves or that have been given to us. They're recognizing ideological boundaries. If ideology are the structures that allow us to make sense of the world and give meaning to our world, if we can break those boundaries apart, our worlds are expanded. So this course challenges you to examine the borders. You may not even be aware of the borders there, your own borders for your own ideologies, but think about it and examine them. Okay, where did this come from? Is this something that I have created for myself, or is this something that I have just been given and have assumed? And we all do both. But if we can start to say, maybe the way I view the world is not as expansive as it should be or could be. Now, I'm not trying to undermine anybody's beliefs. I hope to challenge everybody's beliefs, whatever they might be. Because if you hold to a belief that is unexamined, this is going back to the Greek Western tradition, Aristotle supposedly said that unexamined life is not worth living. I would not adhere to that, but the unexamined life is impoverished because it is not looking at sufficiently your own place within your own world, so that your answer to the question, who am I, is very narrow. Again, I'm not trying to challenge your beliefs or opinions. No, I am trying to, I misspoke there. I am trying to challenge them. I'm not trying to undermine them. And I'll be talking about later, I'm certainly not going to be grading your opinions and beliefs. But I can grade how well you defend your positions and your analysis of the course material. I'll be getting to that. But challenge yourself to go beyond what is given. The shock of history. History can be a shock when we find out things that we were unaware of before. It's like, oh my gosh. So it's almost this internal reflection, but then when we're confronted with new information, new concepts, new perspectives, it can be a shock to us. How do we handle those shocks? That's what this is about. And that's all about self-knowledge. Breaking boundaries and borders. This course is about self-knowledge and understanding. That is what this is all about. Going back to the question of who am I, both as individuals that we ask about for ourselves and for our societies, groups, societies, and cultures. Now, that is, in the general sense, what this course is all about. But there's also the practical. The practical is there basically on the syllabus and in the document introduction to the course. But I'm just going to go through some of those briefly here and then wrap this up, I hope, as quickly as possible. I'm sorry for the delay and the added time and all those other things. If you've read through the introduction to the course, you know what the requirements are. If you've read through the syllabus and thought about it, you know what the requirements are. The syllabus is all important because the syllabus, the document posted in both the module welcome and getting started and in course documents, which are essential. That is what I'm referring to, not the syllabus link on Canvas. It's the document syllabus. That's where the reading assignments per week are. That's where the lecture titles are. That's where the due dates for all the assignments are. So that is something that you really need to refer to repeatedly and know what's coming about and what's coming up for you. So here we have what is this course. After we go back to that whole issue, in some ways it's like the myth of the West. We talked about that in the final, which I read to start this lecture. And that myth of the West, how we come to an understanding of it, is based on the course material. I've referred to that before. The course material here consists of the textbook, the lectures, and the history labs. I'll be talking about the history labs in a minute. The textbook is central. The lectures are essential, both the videoed lectures and the written lectures. And I addressed this in the introduction to the course document. We have both written lectures that have been posted and videoed lectures. There's a very parallel relationship between the two, but they're not identical. The written lecture for week one, lecture one, is not in 3 parts, for example. In the broadest scheme of things, you're responsible for everything. In the most practical sense, if you learn better with lectures, videoed lectures with oral lectures. Focus on that. If you learn better by reading, focus on the written lectures. They are to supplement and reinforce each other. That's what the intent is. Now, there's a long story behind this with online courses. I present online courses. I would rather that we were in person, but I'm trying to make the best we can do. I've done both. I've had online courses where I where I only record lectures. I've had online courses that I taught that I only have written lectures that I post. And I've been heard from students kind of enough that I think I'm going to do both, because some students like the videoed lectures, others like the written lectures that are posted. So it is there. Now, all of it is required. That gets into how we go about this and how I go about, with the grading and the course and the structure. Everything is open, and grading is based on everything that has been assigned: the textbook, the lectures, and the history labs. And the history labs are lectures. There's not written lectures. There are no written lectures for the history labs. That is the one exception. History labs are simply lectures or talking, and the history labs focus on skills. They're designed to help you develop historical skills, with the first one coming up in a week or two. Focus on note-taking. How do you take notes? How do you read a textbook? How do you construct timelines for yourselves and things? And these skills are all designed to help with the exams, to help within the final exam, which is the goal of the entire course. So those history labs, and there's 5 history labs, I think they are, and you are required to submit a lab report for each one, which is 1 point each, and they are simply graded on completion. But the better job you try to do on it, I think the more you'll get out of it. So simply don't say, yeah, we talked about note-taking. That would irritate me, because it's like, okay, they're due on completion. So if you can complete the lab rubric, the lab report rubric that's posted, and simply say we talked about note-taking, that will really irritate me, because technically you've submitted it, but you haven't really fulfilled the spirit of the assignment. But you won't also get out as much from the labs as you do if you actually kind of participate and try to get involved and really get into what we're talking about. Now, that is, I use the lab as symbolic more than anything, because now it's not really a lab like a science lab, but that is intended to say, okay, how do we really deal with the practicalities? That's what that's about. But of all the course material, all the textbook is all required. Now, that is the basis for the exams. You can't do everything. You can't know everything. I don't know everything in the textbook off the top of my head. But we have this assumption that we both, all of us, know everything. And then how I grade your exams is from all of that. What do you bring from all of that course material to answer the given question within the confines that it's given you? That is the basis of it. So the course material I'll refer to repeatedly as the basis for your grade. It doesn't mean you have to memorize the textbook. It doesn't mean that you have to memorize everything I've said in this lecture or in the first 2 parts either. It doesn't mean that you have to, memorize everything that goes on in the labs. What it means is, from all of this, how do you select and choose the course material to support your position on the question that's given to you? That is what this is all about. And that is what then consists of the course material. Then we have the practicalities. What are the requirements? We have quizzes, lab reports, midterms, term paper, and final exam. Quizzes, as I said, are multiple choice quizzes done on Canvas. Just 5 questions. They're based on the list of terms to know. Now, the list of terms to know is posted for both midterms and the final, I believe. And that's the guide to help you sift through all the course material. There are a list of terms drawn from the textbook and the lectures, both the written and the oral lectures. It's like, okay, if you know these lists of terms as vocabulary terms, you will do fine on the exam. And I'll talk more about that as we go through in the lectures I'm preparing for the exams. But that is a help through all the course material. The list of terms to know help you that. And so the quizzes are just 5 questions based on that list of terms to know, multiple choice, to help you give you an indication of how you're doing shortly before you're supposed to take the exam, the midterm. So there's a quiz before the first midterm, a quiz before the second, and a quiz before the final. You can retake them once. So that's a help. I think the questions will be shuffled in different order. The answers will be in different order, so you can't just say, okay, I'm going to just answer this, write down all the correct answers, because the correct answers I think will be given to you, and then just do it again without worrying about it, and just not even think about it, and just put down the right answers. It won't work that way because the answers are shuffled. So that's my understanding, anyway, of the way it works. But those are quizzes are for you to do that. The 2 midterms are then, so the quizzes help to get ready for the midterms. The midterms are designed to help get ready for the final. The midterms also are all posted. All the material is already posted. You can read it all and prepare for it and do it as you will. 1 essay question that's given to you. If you can do the essay question well for midterm 1 and for midterm 2, that then progresses to the final, which is the culmination of this course and where it all comes about. The term paper is based on Plato's Republic, which is assigned. So that's 2 part of the course material. We have the textbook, the lectures. I should have put that up there with the course material, Plato's Republic. You'll need to acquire a copy of that in the edition and translation stipulated, the Oxford World Classics edition. It's not that expensive. And answer the question for the term paper. Again, it's almost like a different type of an exam. But the reason I'm doing this is because Plato is so important for the Western tradition, for the Western understanding of itself, whether we're aware of it or not. It is formed together with Aristotle, kind of the Western mind, so to speak. And the Republic, his book, The Republic, focuses on the question of what is justice and what is a just state. It does so explicitly. That is part of the whole final question. So your term paper, as well as your 2 midterms, lead directly into the final, and you can use material from all of those for your final exam, but I'll be talking more about that when we get there. So that is all this puts together in terms of what this course is about and what's required. So we have the quizzes, the lab reports, the midterm exams, the term paper, and then it all culminates in the final exam. Keys to success. How can you be successful in this course? Which, in some ways, I hope, I'm assuming right now, you're being feeling a bit overwhelmed by the scope, by the extent of it all. We can get you through it. You can get through it. You can do it. I know you can. I'm here to help with all of that. But here are some keys to success in this course. Number 1, keep up with the reading. That is something important. Attend lectures and listen and take good notes. Attend lectures, that's. I should say watch lectures, read the lectures, listen to the lectures. That was taken over from still an in-person version of the course. But focus on the lectures, listen to the lectures, take good notes. I'll be talking more about take good notes in the first history lab. Participate. What does that mean? It means actively engage in the course, in the lectures, in the readings. Ask me questions. Also, you can ask your classmates questions. You can work together, even though this is all online. But one of the things you're supposed to do, I hope you will do, it's not graded, but I hope you will do so this first week, is introduce yourself. There's a discussion, self-introductions, and I hope you'll introduce yourself so you can get to know your classmates. You can form study groups, even though this is all an online course. You can still form communities here and work together in terms of that virtual environment. Or if you're in Indianapolis, you can even meet in person, so to speak. So really get involved and ask questions, participate by being engaged. And I say, find your special interest and focus on it. There's everything is part of Western civilization. And I have my, the focuses of my interest. But just as an example, one of my interests, at least in terms of what I do, is not military history. I can think it can be fascinating, but in general, But if you're interested in military history, great. Focus on that, even though the lectures are not going to be focusing on it, the textbook is not going to be focusing on it, but we'll talk about it. But make that as your focus and to help get through all the drudgery, because history is hard work. Being a history student is hard work. A history course is hard work. Being a history professor is hard work. There's a lot of drudgery in it. How do you get through that drudgery? Your interest. Now, there should be an existential connection of interest already. Answering the question, who am I? Who have I been? Who am I becoming? That's what this course is all about. So find that special interest, even if it's just that. And if you say, okay, no, I know who I am, I don't need to explore it. Say, well, why do you feel that way? Are you sure? What led you to feel that way, to believe that? Question. Question. Always question. That will help you engage, and that will directly contribute to your success. And then dare to challenge yourself. If you keep up with the reading, focus on the lectures and written and or video lectures, you participate, you engage, you find your special interest or interests, and you are willing to open yourself up and challenge yourself, I think you'll get a lot out of this course. Now, I know it's 3 parts. I don't know how much time I've spent with all 3 parts. I will try to evaluate that and adjust other lectures as we go along, time-wise, to help with that, because I know there's, even though this is 100% online course, there's still time limits involved, and there's already a lot of work in this course. I'm aware of that. If you have any questions, please just reach out. If you find yourself running into problems over the course of the semester with this course or with life in general, because life happens, but that might affect your performance in this course, reach out. I'm always here to help. That is how I view myself, as not only the person who has constructed this course, created this course, is presenting this course, but also is here to help you through it. Do what is assigned. Know what you need to know. Take the responsibility for your own learning, for your own education. That's what this is all about. But in doing so, if I can help with that, that's my job, or part of my job in any case. So please feel free to reach out, email. We can chat over email. We can arrange to Zoom meetings. We can arrange to meet in my office if you're in Indianapolis, to meet in person. I'm here to help. Use me in some ways. And be engaged and focus and know what you need to know. And in some ways, to conclude all of this, have fun with it all. It's drudgery, it's hard work, but that can be really fun. I hope you can see the excitement of history and of this course. If there's one thing I hope you can get out of it, it's that. Thank you very much. I'll be back before too long with the second lecture for this week, and we'll go from there. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.